The new series I'm doing, and I just started to display here at GOSO, is called Postcards to America. And it's a series I've been thinking about for a long time. Now, all my other series, like the House of Cards, the Hexagon projects, are intermittently affected by political and social events. But this series is kind of my response to everything that's been going on. And you'll see what that's about in a minute. So in the House of Cards series, for example, Trayvon Martin's, the man who killed Trayvon Martin in Florida, the young man that was just coming back from getting groceries with Skittles and iced tea, happened during this series. I am a mom of two biracial children, and I have Jamaican American relatives in Florida. So it really hit home that this could have been any one of our kids. So I did this series called Three of Strange Fruit in the Poplar Trees, taken of course from Billie Holiday's song about lynching. And it's a sort of pieta. I'm over here on the right with my oldest son. I'm holding my son. And of course you have the Skittles, the Arizona black tea, and the blackbirds flying free, which is a symbol that goes back to slavery for freedom. So that was my response to that event. When I did this symbol for peace was after the Orlando club shooting. And so I had a sort of a rainbow of suggestions of wings like a dove, suggesting we won't have peace until we all have peace in our lives. And again, in this one was sort of my response to Brexit. So I've always, had some sort of response in my work to current events that are going on while I'm making it. It sort of interrupts what I'm doing, and I feel a need to respond to it. So again, during the hexagram series, all this stuff sort of started to build up, and I finally figured out a way I wanted to respond to everything. And I'm doing a postcard for every state. So maybe just be one city in the state, but I'm hoping to do 50, or at least 51 or 52 if you include DC and Puerto Rico, as a response to all the social issues that affect me and my family and my response to them. So the first one I did was Missouri, Ferguson, Missouri. And I have that here in the gallery today as well on the wall, and as well as metal prints of some of the other ones. So this was done actually last fall when I started the series, and before this current wave of police killings and the response to it. But obviously I'm not the only one who's been thinking about it. St. Paul was where I was born, and I know the city well. And this is my response to the shooting by a police officer of Philando Castile. And of course, if I was doing Minnesota right now, I'd do Minneapolis. But this is, the same events that seem to be reoccurring. Then I was working on Texas, or thinking about Texas, when the latest shooting in El Paso happened at the Walmart. But then I was thinking about all the different events, and so I was a young person, a young child, from the assassination of President Kennedy to all the other sort of lone gunman killings, especially in Texas, but all over the country. So this was my response to all those killings. And in Florida, again, I wanted to include the young activist from Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. I included Trayvon Martin's face in their group because the gun violence affecting all of our young people. And also the Ku Klux Klan imagery came from the town where Trayvon Martin was shot. It had been the site of a very well publicized Ku Klux Klan rally. And so there was a lot of photos of that. And so I included that in this image as well. And in all these postcards, I'm trying to contrast the sort of the American dream look of the vintage postcard with, the reality that we all need to face in our country. And then during the pandemic, when the stay-at-home orders, I was working on Milwaukee, which I think I've skipped here, but I'll bring that up in a minute. And then the next one I thought, well, I'll do New York, because New York always seems to be the epicenter of all of so much of our national life. And so I sort of contrasted the New York, Manhattan, with the sign, also the view from the Brooklyn Bridge. There are some hints of 9/11 in there. I have, of course, the Statue of Liberty wearing a mask, and sort of the pandemic symbols here in the New York piece. And I'll be bringing these into the gallery as I get them framed. These are done on paper, like my House of Cards series, and so it takes some money to get them all framed. And then I sort of combined, I wanted to deal with mass incarceration, and I had a show in Louisiana, and I was thinking about Louisiana, and the Angola Penitentiary in Louisiana is the largest maximum security penitentiary in the United States and possibly the world. It's going to be the size of Manhattan, and Louisiana right now is sending anybody with COVID-19 to the penitentiary to J Camp, which has been was closed down because it was notorious for its mistreatment and violence of prisoners. And so this was my last piece. So I'm going to also bring up shows it has lots of scenes from 1967, 1968 when I was in grade school. And also it refers to the fact that Milwaukee it has a really nice front view of the downtown Milwaukee, which has really been improved since I was growing up. But this housing segregation is just as bad as it ever was in Milwaukee. In fact, it's the most segregated city in America. And of course, the second most segregated city in America is Minneapolis. Here is my wall here at Ghostwolf, which has the Ferguson piece. And then here are the metal pieces for each of these. I'm also making a metal print of the postcards. And then of course I have my hexagram series over here. And I also have my new book with the entire House of Cards. And I have prints and postcards of this series as well, of the Postcards to America series here as well. So I'm doing them in paper and metal as well. Thanks again.